So, and Irma, your sister. Oh, come on. You want me to put it with the stand, Judge?
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
What's the name, Rachel?
Irma. Duenas,
I'm not doing this, but this is mom,
sister.
sister, okay.
Then you should go and have a seat.
Yes. So if you'll take a seat right here, okay? All right.
Ready?
Are both parties ready? All right, we're ready.
All rise for the jury.
All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, where we left off, the state had rested its case. Defense, do you have any opening statements?
Your Honor.
All right, do you have any witnesses?
Yes, we'd like to call Irma Duenas, Judge.
All right, could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that the members of the jury and the court reporter can hear. If you'll state your name for the record. Oh, sure. Just one moment. You are. You're welcome.
My name is Irma Duenas.
Ms. Duenas, are you related to David?
Yes, he's my little brother.
You answered the second question. You're older than he is.
Yes,
Okay. And in general terms, you know why he's before the court today, correct?
yes,
You know Vanessa?
yes,
That's his ex-wife, correct?
yes.
You know if they're actually divorced?
They are divorced, yes.
How long have you known her?
Since she was 16 years old,
And she's, that's roughly how many years have you known?
I don't remember how old she is, but a long time.
Okay. So how is it that you know her going so far back?
They were high school sweethearts.
Okay. They started to live together at what age or what point?
When she got pregnant,
Was that before or after they were out of high school?
before,
So have you had the occasion over the years to spend time with her
yes,
and with their son
yes,
up until the time that they were no longer together?
yes,
Do you feel like you know her fairly well?
yes.
Do you have sometimes contact with her separate and apart of when she's with David?
Like since the separation, or
Well, just in the past in general.
yeah, she was like a sister to me.
So you have her cell phone,
Yes,
and if there was a reason to call or just to visit, y'all sometimes would do that.
yes.
After you heard about what happened, did you have a chance to think about what was going on that day, September 11th of 2022?
Yes,
Did you see David that day?
yes.
And why was that?
My birthday, September 12th, and we got together at my mom's house to celebrate my birthday.
I think this was a Sunday, is that right?
I don't recall the exact date, but it was on the weekend.
And at what time did you get together with David? And
I don't know the exact time, but it was like a lunch, I think.
so midday.
Yes,
And who all was there?
it was me and my family, my daughter, my husband, my brother, and his family and his kids, and our parents.
And this was at,
My our parents' house,
which is where?
in San Antonio.
Um, Did David have his children with him?
Yes,
That includes Deani, correct?
yes,
Uh, At any point in the day that you have occasion to have contact with Vanessa?
yes. Dione was crying for his mommy. They were getting ready to leave. I said, Dione, let me call your mommy. So I called her. Said, Danessa, Dione's crying for you.
Your Honor, this time I'm gonna object to hearsay.
Sustained.
And I'm not gonna ask you what the other person said, but so let's kind of break it up into smaller questions.
Okay.
Did David know that you were gonna call her?
Yes,
Now you said they were getting ready to leave. Who's getting ready to leave?
David and his family, they were going home.
And do you know roughly what time that was at?
5 or later.
Now, why did you take it upon yourself to make the phone call? Why would it make sense for you to do that?
I know my nephew really well, and I knew if I were to call his mom, that would help him feel better.
And what were you proposing to do once you got a hold of his mother?
I live down the street from her, so I was offering to help and take him home.
And was that accomplished?
No,
Based on what you know, was his mother available for you to try take him home at that point?
no, she was not home.
Was there a cordial conversation?
Yes,
Was there any reason for anybody to be upset with anybody about anything?
no,
So was David gonna allow you to keep Deani and then take him home at that point versus taking him to his house?
if his mom was home, yes, but she wasn't home.
Okay. So is it, at what point after the phone call does David leave to go to his house?
After she stated she wasn't home and he would have to stay with David.
Now, you said that you've known Vanessa for a long time, correct?
Yes,
Excuse me, just 1 second. Are there any witnesses in the courtroom? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, you may continue.
Have you seen when they were still together, did you see their interactions with each other?
yes,
Whether good interactions or bad interactions?
um,
I mean, I'm asking, regardless of how they were there good and bad interactions?
yes,
Had you ever seen them fighting with each other?
yes,
Had you ever seen Danessa physically being violent with David?
yes.
Describe what you've seen her do in terms of her behavior in that regard.
You object at this time to specific acts, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Well, and I'm not asking you exactly about any particular incident,
Mhm.
but when you said you've seen her being violent, what have you seen her do?
Once
I've
again, specific acts and incidents, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Can we approach on that issue?
Yes.
So Ms. Williams, let me ask the question this way. Have you seen, without referring to any particular incident, have you seen Vanessa being violent in the past?
Yes,
Have you seen her direct that violence towards your brother?
yes,
Has that occurred? Have you seen that on one or more than one occasion?
more than one occasion,
You say more than a few?
more than a few, yes,
And is this during the time that they're together as husband and wife? I guess they were legally married.
yes.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right, state.
Good afternoon, Ms. Duenas. I kind of talk fast, so kind of wait till I finish asking my questions before I answer. And if I talk too fast, please just let me know, okay? So in the time that Danessa and David were together, was it always a happy relationship?
No,
Did you ever see your brother exhibit any violence?
never.
Never in his entire life.
With Danessa
In his life,
in his life?
have you ever seen him be violent?
No,
Okay. And so you never saw him be violent toward Danessa?
no,
You said David's your younger brother, correct?
my youngest, yes.
Your youngest, how many siblings do you have?
I have 5 siblings.
Is it safe to say you love your brother?
With all my heart, yes.
So is it safe to say that you don't want anything to happen to him?
I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Irma, at the time in September of 22, how long had they been separated, if you know, roughly?
At least 9 months because his girlfriend was pregnant.
And did he have a regular schedule of time with Diani?
I believe so, yes.
In other words, he would see him on scheduled dates, for example.
I do not know. I don't know what their agreement was.
But how often would you see Diani in your brother's care? I guess that's my question.
Often, all the time, he was a very active father.
And on this day in question, if it was a Sunday, do you know whether he'd been with him all weekend or when he got there?
Yes, he had been with him all weekend.
And did that continue after September of 2022?
No.
So there's no contact at all anymore?
After the incident,
Yes.
No.
I'll pass it with you.
Do you know why there's been no contact since the incident?
I don't know.
Are you aware that a protective order was granted keeping Diani from seeing his father?
And I did not know that.
Pass the witness.
Nothing further, Judge.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Excuse from the state, Your Honor.
We can, subject recall, Judge.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone. You're not allowed to view anything. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state or the defense. Do you understand? All right, you may step down.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Defense, call your next witness.
We'll call Margaret Duenas, Judge.
Oh, you want to grab her?
Yes.
All right, could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. Just make sure you keep your voice up so that the members of the jury and the court reporter can hear. If you'll state your name for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Margaret Duenas.
Defense.
Ms. Duenas, how are you related to David?
David is my son.
Ms. Duenas, you're familiar with the circumstances that bring us here to court today, correct?
Yes, sir.
Um, Now, how long have you known Danessa?
They were high school sweethearts, so when David was in high school, I'm sorry, I don't know. Sorry, I had 6 kids. Let me think. Since she was in high school, sorry, I can't think of the year right now.
It's okay. How old is David now?
David is gonna be 26.
Okay, so almost 10 years.
Yes,
Give or
sir.
take.
Yes, sir.
Did they ever live in your home?
Yes, they did.
And during what time period?
A year ago, she left the house and she was there almost 2 years prior to that. So we're in 23. So she was there during COVID, which is 2020. So they moved in like in 2019.
And so she stayed with you even after they separated,
Yes, sir.
and maybe even after they got divorced.
Possibility. I'm not too sure when the divorce was official.
Okay. Do you know whether or not David has a protective order that prevents him from seeing Danessa or being around her?
No, sir.
Do you know whether there's a protective order that keeps him from seeing his child?
For Danessa, yes, but officially me knowing that, no, sir.
Okay, so you're not sure.
I'm not sure.
Now, during the time that you've known Danessa, has she ever been, have you known her to be physically violent with your son?
I've seen her get a little upset and smack him, but that's what I have seen and I've witnessed in my home.
On one or more than one occasion?
Just a few times.
Did David ever respond in kind?
David, knowing the rules in our home, he did the respectful thing just to get up and walk away.
Now, Ms. Duenas, knowing what this case is about, have you had a chance to think about what you were doing on that day, September 11th, 2022, when your son was arrested?
Yes, sir.
What was going on that day, if you remember?
My daughter's birthday is September 12th, and because it was a Sunday and her birthday was gonna fall on a Monday, we decided to get together as a family with my grandchildren and my entire family to celebrate her birthday. That's what we do on birthdays. We get together and celebrate. And so we were having a dinner. It was no big party or anything. It was just a dinner and a cake. And because it was Sunday and my other son wanted to leave and get ready to go to the game, so go see the game somewhere. So we made it early and we stopped the party early. I think I must be somewhere between 5 and 6. Like everybody just started going their separate ways.
Did you have occasion to have contact with Danessa that day?
Not during the day. I did have contact with her late. As a matter of fact, I was asleep and she woke me up.
So how did she wake you up? Did you receive a phone call?
Yes, sir. I received a phone call somewhere around 11:30 that evening or that night.
And who was the call from?
It was from Danessa.
And what was the purpose of the call? What is it she wanted? As best you could tell.
She wanted me to know what was going on at the time and what had happened prior, what her situation was that evening. Explained to me.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Sustained.
And let me stop you there, Ms. Smith. Do you know if this is before or after the police arrived?
This was when they were waiting for the police to arrive.
Now, Without telling us exactly what she said, at least at this point, did she describe to you what had happened up until the time that she made the phone call?
Yes, sir.
Judge, maybe it'd be easier we just approach.
Sure.
I'll have you all back here. I'm pretending like I can see that Dist. It's sometimes shine on that clock. I'm gonna have you all back here at 2:40. Remember my previous instructions, all right? All right, everyone, please rise for the jury.
All right, everyone, please be seated. And this is outside the presence of the jury. Defense, ask your question.
So Ms. Duenas, in the course of your conversation with Danessa, did she relate what had happened prior to the phone call?
And Your Honor, at this time, may I still object to hearsay, or would you
Well, let's hear where this is going and then you can make your objections.
apologize? Thank you.
No problem.
No, sir.
Well, did she explain to you that she was there to pick up Deani?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And it's your understanding that Deani was gonna go home on Sunday night at some point, correct?
Correct.
But did you discern from the call that something had gone wrong, there was a problem in the exchange?
Yes.
Okay. Did Danessa suggest to you that your son was not allowing her to take the child?
Yes.
Did Danessa tell you anything that she did, or any actions that she took when David refused to let her go inside the apartment and take the child out?
Yes, sir.
What did she say she did?
She said David refused to let her take Deani. So she started up the stairway and was trying to make her way up to the apartment, and David stopped her by pulling her by the arm. And she said that when David pulled her back by the arm, she turned around and she hit him.
And based on how you know her and knowing her for all these years, did that surprise you that she hit him?
I would say no, it didn't surprise me. Several reasons. She's a mom.
Other than David physically preventing her from going up the stairs, did he do anything else to provoke her to hit him, in her words?
The only thing she did tell me is that he pulled her, and he pulled her arm and she started hitting him, and that she was dragged down the stairway. And that was it.
That's the gist of the judge.
All right. So State, are you going to be objecting to this line of testimony?
We'll just be objecting to hearsay, Your Honor.
All right, that objection is going to be, I'm sorry, I hear your argument.
Well, Judge, as you know, obviously, there's many exceptions to the hearsay rule, and one of them is an admission against interest. And certainly, if you hit somebody and it's not self-defense or it's not justified, it's an assault. It's against her penal interest because she could be prosecuted for engaging in that kind of behavior. And her free admission of that without any prompting or suggestion of what to say should be admissible under the exceptions to the hearsay rule.
All right.
Judge, it's also an excited utterance. We're making the argument as well. And without this evidence, Mr. Duenas will be deprived of the right to present a full defense, the right to effective assistance of counsel in the middle of direct examination of this witness, due process and due course of law, and right to a fair trial.
So with regards to the excited utterance, no foundation. Oh, please remain seated. It's easier for everybody to hear if everybody's seated. All right. With regards to excited utterance, that's going to be overruled. There's been no foundation laid for excited utterance. In state, you're still objecting to this testimony.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, then the objection will be sustained. All right, is there anything else?
No, Judge, but just so that I don't incur the ire of the court.
Oh, there's no ire for me, as you know.
Been known to happen.
Yeah.
I hear what the court's ruling is, and I have no argument with it, but am I not allowed to lay the proper foundation and inquire it again, or do you want me to do it now?
Foundation 4.
Excited utterance,
Oh, yes. You can do it now and speak to the witness.
so that we don't have to do it again.
Mhm.
So, Ms. Duenas, what was Danessa doing at the moment that you were talking to her on the phone?
She was, sounded excited on the phone, nervous, out of breath. I asked her what was wrong, why was she out of breath? And she said she had been running.
Why was she running?
She was looking for a Christian. She was concerned. She told me that he was shot, and I was like, what? You know, I said, how did that happen? Because I didn't, knowing my son, he wasn't capable of doing such thing. So I was like, what happened? And I got worried, like, well, what happened? And she said, oh, I found him. And she said, are you shot? And he said, I could hear him on the phone. He said, no. And then I was relieved to know he wasn't shot. He said that he jumped the fence and hurt his ankle at the pool.
And let me ask you, piece by piece, Ms. Duenas, so that the record's a little bit better clear. So as she's looking for a Christian to see where he's at, she has you on the phone?
Yes,
And so you hear her entire conversation with Christian when she finds him somewhere in the premises of the apartments?
yes, sir.
And you hear her talking to him and asking him if he's hurt or if he's shot.
Yes, sir.
And what is her tone of voice when all that's happening?
The same, she is a little, you know, like if she had been yelling at a game or something, so her voice was still, you know, like, I guess that's all I can describe you to how her voice was.
Let me ask you it this way, was she calm?
She did calm down when she did find Christian. And then there was less of a heavy breathing when she knew he wasn't shot.
Okay. But and then, so relate the conversation about her admitting that she'd hit your son. When did that happen in relation to when she told you she's looking for Christian?
That was prior, what she told me. Because I had asked her, well, what happened? And I said, what happened? And so that's when she was explaining to me on the phone what happened, because I didn't understand what had happened. You know, David went his way with his family fine, and Deani was a little bit upset, but not to the fact that he was like really upset. So
So Ms. Duenas, at the time that you're talking to her, she still didn't know where Christian was.
No, and she didn't bring up Christian till after, when I told her, well, what's going on now? And that's when she told me she was looking for Christian.
And she didn't know whether he was hurt or not, or shot at that point.
No, she assumed, she told me that he was shot.
And was she actively looking for him as she's talking to you on the phone?
Yes, she went out, started looking for him.
Okay, that's the foundation for the excited utterance.
All right, state.
Your Honor, we don't believe this meets the exception under the rule. This witness has already testified to the fact that the complainant was waiting for police to arrive. It was already post startling event or incident. Using a word to meet your definition, right? The witness said that she was excited. State certainly doesn't believe that the foundation has been laid for an excited utterance. And so the state would tend to object to this testimony, given that that foundation has not been met, Your Honor.
All right, the court will overrule the state's objection. Is there anything else?
No, just
All right, let's bring the jurors back in.
And actually, Your Honor, if I may I ask a quick clarification question? At the time when defense intends to elicit that testimony, would the state still then be precluded from different types of objections like speculation or
No,
no?
yes.
Thank you,
can
Judge.
still make those objections.
Judge, quick favor, Ms. Duenas recently had surgery on her knee and she's kind of very delicate. Can we avoid her having to get up and sit down when the jury comes in?
Oh, sure.
Because it's causing her pain to do that.
Oh, no, no problem, of course. And so it won't look awkward, I'll remain seated as well.
Thank you.
And so that the rest of you all will stand up. We're ready.
All right, for the jury?
All right, everyone, please be seated. Defense, it's your witness.
Duenas, I might recover something we already did, but I wasn't sure where we left off, but you did get a phone call from Duenas at some point the evening of the party with your daughter, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you told us that happened about what time?
Around 11:30.
Can you describe Duena's demeanor when you first heard her voice on the phone?
Well, she's excited, nervous, completely mumbling and she seemed out of breath, nervous. She was upset.
Now, what was the tone of her voice?
Her tone of her voice was, what's the word I want to say? I want to say like, I guess when you're nervous and it just comes out like you're yelling, I guess. Does that make sense?
Now, when you heard her, even though you hadn't really gotten any details of what's happening, what was your reaction to this phone call?
It scared me. I didn't know what was going on.
Did you ask her specifically what she was doing at that moment?
I asked her what she was doing and she told me she was looking for, or she was trying to find out where Christian went. That's what it was. She says, I'm trying to find out where Christian's at. I don't know where he's at. And I said, okay. And then I said, you need to calm down because I couldn't understand anything from her. And I was asleep. She woke me up. So
Do you know who Christian is?
I had not met Christian at the time. I knew who he was, but I hadn't met him in person at the time.
So you knew that was her boyfriend.
Yes, sir.
So when she says, I'm trying to find Christian, did you inquire, like, what do you mean? Why is it you don't know where he's at?
Yes, that's when I asked her, what do you mean? What happened? And then that's when she told me that the scuffle that she had, trying to get Diani. And she just told me that the gun went off and it shot Christian. The gun went off and it shot Christian. Those were her exact words, that the gun went off. And I said, gun, what gun? And when she told me that David, then I was like, well, what happened? Why? I mean,
Okay, so let's go back a little bit, Ms. Duenas. I want to make sure that we go in order so the jury can understand. At the point that she's telling you this part of the story, had she found Christian?
no, sir.
So did it appear from your conversation with her that she was actively looking for him on the property?
Yes, she sounded out of breath.
Now, did she describe to you what happened when she went to go pick up Diani?
Yes, she did.
And what did she say happened when she got there to pick him up?
She said when she pulled up, they parked on the side. And she said she got off and went to go get Diani. And David met her halfway the stairway and told her that Diani would stay the night because it was already late and that he'll take her to school tomorrow, take him to school. And she said she refused. And that's when I told her, Danessa, just leave him. You should have just left him there. And I said, so what happened?
And Your Honor, at this point, the state would just object to hearsay. I believe we,
Sustained.
Now, did her tone of voice change at all during this period of time?
No, she was the same.
And again, had she found Christian at this point yet?
No, she had no idea. I don't know where she was looking, but she still hadn't found Christian.
Did you get the sense that she was moving around as you're talking to her?
Yes,
Did she describe exactly the interaction between herself and your son at that point?
just that he pulled her by the arm and told her that she could not go up to the apartment.
And what did she tell you she did in response to that?
She hit him.
Once or more than once, or how exactly did she say it, if you remember?
She just says she hit him. She goes, I fought back, is what she said. I hit him and I fought back.
And then at some point after that, did she find Christian and start to settle down?
I asked her, was the police there? She said they were waiting on the police. And then she said, hold on, I just saw Christian. And I said, well, where's he at? Go check on him, make sure he's all right. And so she did, and she asked him, are you all right? She yelled at him, are you all right? Because they were still at a distance. And he hollered back and said, I'm fine. I just hurt my ankle. So she said, you're not shot? And he said, no, I'm not shot. So I asked her, well, then what happened? And he's telling her what happened. He jumped the fence and hurt his ankle.
Ms. Duenas, have you or any members in your family seen Diani since then?
I haven't seen him over a year.
No, that's not Mr.
State.
ma'am, how many times, well, one, I'm Zach. It's very nice to meet you, ma'am. And I'm just going to ask a few questions more for clarification and just to get your perspective. So you had mentioned a few times that separate from this night, right, not the night in question, that you had seen less than positive interactions between David and Danessa. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you had testified that on 100% of those occasions, basically every time you saw something not great happening, Danessa was the aggressor and your son walked away 100% of the time.
Yes, sir.
And were there ever instances that you saw your son react, get angry, flustered, frustrated, or again, just to clarify, you're saying that every single time he would simply just walk away?
When a situation where she would smack him, yes.
And she would smack him in front of you?
Yeah, I could have been in the kitchen. We lived in a mobile home small, but you see everything.
And you had mentioned that you got a phone call for the night in question around 11:30 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Would it surprise you to learn that officers had already arrived on scene before the 11 o'clock hour?
It could be, I don't know.
So you're not exactly sure where Danessa was at the time she made that phone call to you, correct?
Correct. I don't know where she was.
Where she was, and you don't know exactly what time it was. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, because I received the phone call, like I said, I was asleep. So somewhere between 11 and 11:30, I would think that's where the phone call came in, or 11:30. But I don't know if the police were there and she didn't know it because she was on the other side of the apartment complex. I have no idea.
And had you been witness or privy to child drop-offs in the past? With respect to Diani picking up and who's taking Diani for X amount of time?
Like, I'm sorry, like for me, myself, or for him, my son, or?
So I guess, had you ever personally witnessed a drop-off concerning Diani between David and Danessa?
Possible. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
But you do remember from that night, she said that she was walking up the steps, right?
Yes.
And is that because David's apartment was up the steps?
Yes, sir. I had never been to the apartment, so I would have never known that.
But to the best of your knowledge, he kind of lived up those steps.
Yes, sir.
So she was walking in the direction of her child,
His apartment, yes.
to the best of your understanding.
Yes, sir.
Do you think it's proper behavior to then grab the mother of your children and drag her down the stairs?
It's it's wrong not to touch another woman. I understand that. But if he was trying to keep Diani from emotional distress, I can see him pulling her by the arm.
Okay, but if a mother is walking up the steps, we have heard nothing related to the fact that Diani wasn't outside, to your knowledge, correct?
To my knowledge, he was inside the apartment.
And to your knowledge, everything was fine earlier on in the day, correct?
Yes, except, you know, he got into a little whining moment, but nothing big.
And Danessa wasn't there at the kind of noonish gathering you guys had, correct?
No, sir, she wasn't.
So there really was no threat of emotional damage to a child inside a third floor apartment with respect to that child's parents on the first floor, correct?
I wasn't there, so I don't know what to answer, to be honest.
But no, but to your exact language, and you said preventing emotional damage. To the best of your knowledge, what emotional damage was dragging the mother of your children by the arm down the stairs? What emotional damage are you preventing in that exact moment?
What I'm saying is, he prevented it from carrying it into his apartment, where it would not only be witnessed by Diani, but by my other two grandchildren.
And you had mentioned kind of he knew how things worked in your house. Was that something you guys had discussed? Like, if she's trying to get to the child, you know, in this house, you should feel willing to grab a woman and drag her down the stairs? Or where did he get that from?
I don't know if it was just a reaction on his part to keep Diani in his apartment safe, because it was already late for him to be on the road. But I wasn't there to see how he grabbed her, but I know that she did mention that he grabbed her and took her down the stairs. But I know she told me she also put a fight with him. So they were both to blame at my point.
And you
Because
said,
they both disrespected each other.
no, ma'am, you're talking about keeping Deani safe. Are you talking about safe now in this context from something physical or safe from what?
Well, I found out that they were in a two-seater vehicle, number one. They had been drinking because it was celebrating Danessa's birthday. So I, as a grandparent, of course, my son may have handled it the wrong way.
And did you believe she was drinking because David had told you she had been drinking?
No, Danessa had already mentioned because she told me, we talked days after.
Objection, hearsay, Your Honor, for any events that happened.
Sustained.
Ma'am, going in a different direction, did you know that your son owned a gun?
Yes, I did.
And to your knowledge, did he typically take a gun with him to trial drop-offs between himself and Danessa?
That I know of, no, I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Do you think it's common practice to bring a gun to a child drop-off?
If he has it properly locked in his vehicle, I wouldn't see a problem with it.
But on his person, do you think it's proper to bring a gun to a child drop-off if the gun is on your person?
I strongly, that's kind of, that would be biased for me to answer. Because honestly, I don't think anyone should carry a gun like that around a child. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna be biased about it, so I'm just gonna be quite honest. That's honestly how I feel in general with anybody, not just my children, anybody in general, to carry, walking around with a gun around a child. I find it to be very dangerous. That's in general, I'm sorry. But if he has that right, I can't take it from him.
Just a moment of the court's time, Your Honor. Now, ma'am, just a few more questions for you. How many children did you say you had again?
I have 6.
And where is David kind of in the age range?
He's my baby.
He's your baby. You love your son?
Yes, I do.
How much do you love him?
I love him very much.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Defense.
No further questions.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Excuse for the state as well, Your
All
Honor.
right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. Only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state of the defense. Do you understand? All right, thank you.
And then,
Yeah, just one moment.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, defense, call your next witness.
Call Mr. Duenas, Judge.
All right. If you'll take a seat here, please. All right, if you could raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that members of the jury and the court reporter can hear. If you'll state your name for the record.
David Duenas.
All right, you're gonna have to speak up.
Oh, David Duenas.
All right, defense.
Mr. Duenas, how old was your son at the time this occurred?
How old?
Yes.
It'd be 7 in February, so 5.
And how long had you and his mother been separated at that point?
Over a year.
And what was the schedule of your time with him?
So because I had moved on with another woman. She didn't let me see him for a few months. But when we got the divorce paperwork signed, uh, we had written up the paperwork. It said every other weekend and then certain holidays, but I would pick him up from school, or if I couldn't, my mom was his teacher at the time, so she would either go home with him and I would pick him up from there, or she would drop him off at my apartment with my girlfriend.
So, what was the actual schedule for the weekend in terms of when he was supposed to come home?
So anytime on Friday, again, that schedule because I work late sometimes, but on Sunday, it was set at 9 o'clock. And if I could not drop him off to her at 9 o'clock or she couldn't pick him up, uh, I would then take him to school the next day, which my mom could take him or me because she's his teacher and I live right by the school. And then she would pick him up from school from there.
Had you actually done that before?
Yes.
So, and during those months, did you see him on all the weekends that you were entitled to see him on?
Yes. I started seeing him February. It's our birthday. We have the same day. I started seeing him from that point till the night that happened in September.
So at the time that that happened, you were already divorced from her.
Yes, we had signed paperwork. I want to say June, July. Yeah.
And so the court order that you're referring to was in place on September 11th, 2022.
Yes, everything was turned into the court.
Um, but despite that, had you and her been able to work with each other in the exchanges and drop-offs to where there weren't any issues?
Yes, it was short. She would only tell me if there was anything wrong with him. Uh, Once she met my girlfriend and they were at a mutual relationship, she would drop him off to her and explain if there was anything going on with him. But other than that, it was quick.
So up until September 11th of 2022, we had not had any exchange conflict.
The weekend before was my baby shower. My pregnant girlfriend was 9 months. She was due the week before this happened, but she ended up having the baby after this. Uh, we were having a party for my baby shower. I texted her at 9 o'clock that I was running late. The party had just ended. She texted me 15 minutes later. If I was on my way, I communicated with her. I'm on my way. She was upset because I arrived 9:30, but it was my baby shower and I apologized. And, you know, that was the only argument we had. But other than that, it wasn't till that point.
So all the exchanges up until then had been uneventful.
Yes, yeah, no problem.
Was there conflict between the two of you separate and apart from the visitation or your child?
Like before all this,
No, like after you got divorced, up until September 22, did y'all have an ongoing feud or were y'all just? in that
no, it was
conflict?
just, I mean, like I said, that weekend before she was upset about me being late. But other than that, no.
So this particular weekend in September of 2022, was there anything special planned that weekend?
It was my sister's birthday on Sunday. I mean, Monday, but we celebrated Sunday.
Now, had you guys arranged in advance when and how you were gonna return him to her?
Um, Normally I'll text her when it's getting late, or she'll call me that she's on her way, or if I can drop him off to her. But at that time, she had not reached out to me.
So you knew at the time where she was living,
Yes, she lived about 5 to 10 minutes from me.
and she allowed you to drive to her house and bring Deani to the door and
Yes, it was her brother's house, so she gave me the consent to pick him up from there or drop him off if she was there.
had you had a number of exchanges there without incident?
Yeah, it was quick, never had no issues.
Um, so the testimony was that your sister's function was midday into the early afternoon, correct?
Yes, some of my siblings had to leave, and also I worked, and my girlfriend worked at 6 in the morning, so we were just trying to head home before it got any later.
Where is your mother's home with this function with that?
It's Barrett County still, but in the border of Poteet and Barrett County, Waitascosa, Barrett County border.
Let's see the pictures.
Yeah.
What time did you leave your mother's house? When they
I want to say it's a 40-minute drive. I had texted her before I left if she was home. I want to say that was like around 5.
Yeah, approach Judge.
Yes.
Wait a minute, I'll show you some market attendance. Number one. You recognize that?
Yes.
Without reading what's on there, tell us what that is.
Conversation between me and her.
In what form is that?
A text message.
Uh, Are they exactly on the day, September 11th of 2022?
Yes, sir.
So, how did you get that document?
That was submitted to, I guess, whoever has in charge of the the whole trial or whatever right now going on. That's not mine.
Okay, so you're talking about discovery, correct?
Yeah, discovery. This is a screenshot, not from my phone, but from hers.
So in looking at all the documents that relate to your case that was provided by the state to
Mhm.
your lawyer, we found that document, correct?
Yes.
So the screenshot you're saying of the text messages between the two of you is not from your phone?
No, that's from her phone.
Okay. How do you know that?
Cause at the time I didn't have an iPhone, so it shows iPhone, like the stuff on the bottom, but also my name's on the top, David. So if it was mine, it would say her name.
So in her phone, you're identified as David.
Yes.
Does it have your picture?
No, just says David.
Do you recognize, reading through all the texts that are on that page, do you recognize them?
Yes.
Do you remember that conversation?
Yes, sir.
When you said that you texted her asking her if she was home, is that text message in Defendant's Exhibit number 1?
Yes.
And does it have a timestamp on it?
Yes, 6:18.
Now, why were you texting her at 6:18?
I had just hit the road from my mom's. It's a 40-minute drive. So I was halfway home. And again, she lives 10 minutes. So I could either drop him off at her house if she was home or figure out just go straight home because I had all the rest of my children. And like I said, my wife was 9 months pregnant. Well, girlfriend was 9 months pregnant. So she was trying to get home already, rest.
So the whole incident later into the evening would have been avoided if she'd been home at that point because you just dropped her off.
Yeah. I mean, or communicated with me that she was still where she was at and she was not coming at the time that was
Now-
requested.
Had you spoken to her before that text message at 6, whatever it was?
So she had spoke to my sister right before this, had a conversation with her, told my sister that it was fine for him just to stay with me because we can figure it out from there because she was busy. So when I texted again just to make sure, because she still hadn't, communicated with me, she then called me,
When she called you, where were you?
driving with my family in the car.
And so, was that to confirm that she was not in fact at home, so you couldn't go by?
Yes, she confirmed with me she was not home.
And were you able to find out where she was?
Yes, she wanted me to drop him off at a bar that is 10 minutes away from my apartment the other way,
What is that place called?
Little Woodrow's.
Are you familiar with that place?
Yes, I've been a few times.
If it wasn't a bar, is it a place where you could have dropped him off?
Of course, could have been a grill, could have been something else.
Did you agree or disagree with her about dropping him off there?
I disagreed because I've tried to get in there when I was 18 and they wouldn't let me in because it's 21 and up.
So there's no children allowed there.
No children allowed.
So then you proceeded to go home.
Yes, I was talking to her because I was saying where does she want to meet, and she was upset because she said she's there and that I could not drop him off at her house because nobody was home, and I was upset I could not drop him off there because it's a bar and that it was just a crazy idea that he was just safer to go home with me, and when she's done, she can pick him up because it is 10 minutes away from me, but she's gonna pass that way on 1604. So I said, you can just pick him up when you're done because she said she had been there, but she was leaving in an hour, that she just went for to eat or something. She said she'll be back in an hour.
So if she would have been home in an hour, that would have put her home at what time?
So this was 6:18. She called me right after. So probably been like 7:18, 7:30.
But was any communication done during that hour?
No, she never reached back to me within the hour. I was watching the game, so I had lost track of time, but I was checking my phone. She never messaged me back, never called. I was being nice to not bother her. She said she was coming, so but she never reached out to me till she never reached out to me. I actually reached out at 9 o'clock when it was bedtime for us.
Okay. So the provision in your decree says if it goes past 9, that you're allowed to keep the child on the next day.
Yes, take him to school.
Did you communicate that to her?
Yes, I called her at 9 as my other children went to sleep. They were upset why he got to stay up, but like I said, it was waiting for her to come. I was gonna give her some time, and I had called her. She said she was still there, and she got upset.
Now, up until the time, the conversation on the text message, had it continued to be relatively cordial?
Yeah, it was until I called her at 9.
And when you called her at 9, what was different about that conversation?
Uh, she seemed annoyed, upset with me because I had bothered her, disturbed her again, and she just was upset and said that she was already closing out her tab, that she was on her way, she'll get there when she gets there. Um, she brought up me and my girlfriend, and I just told her, you know what, it's okay, he can just stay here. I'll take him to school tomorrow, and I hung up.
Uh, Did the tone of the conversation change?
Yes, she was from earlier I talked to her, yes, she was very aggressive on the phone, telling me she's like pretty much like don't rush me kind of tone.
Did she say anything specific to you that was a little bit surprising?
Yes, she brought up that she doesn't say excuse my words, she doesn't say shit or give a fuck about when I come home, when I bring him late, or she doesn't bother me when I have him, uh, or when I'm gonna bring him. She brought up that she doesn't say anything when my girlfriend has him, and that for me not to worry that she's on her way.
But, and that's when you said, maybe.
Yeah, that's when I realized her tone was different. I'm gonna assume she was under intoxication because of the fact that she's been there since,
Object speculation, Your Honor.
Sustained.
because she,
Excuse me.
yeah.
When I make a ruling,
Yes, ma'am.
if you don't understand what my ruling means, just ask me. So I sustain the objection. That means that you need to stop talking. All right. Ask your next question.
I'll ask you.
Yes, sir.
Um, You'd known Duenas at this point for a good long time, correct?
Yes, sir, since I was 16.
And have you been with her when she's drinking before?
A few times.
Have you seen her when she's drank more than maybe she should?
Yes.
Do you recognize her behavior and her tone of voice when she's under that influence?
Yes.
Um, did it seem like that to you at this point?
Yes, she gets in a tone and a mood that she's obviously the one in charge. And I just, yeah.
David, if you don't mind, move the microphone a little bit closer to you because it's not really picking you up, or you move closer to it.
Yeah.
So did you think that was the end of it when you told her, look, just, I'll take him to school tomorrow, you need to come by?
I need you to slow down, please. Is that the end of it?
Do you think that was the end of the discussion for the evening? That he was gonna spend the night, she wasn't gonna come? And that was it?
Yes, because she had not called me before anything. So I just assumed she would be satisfied that I said just I would take him to school tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Stay there. So I just thought that was it.
And when's the next time you see or hear from her?
So my girlfriend, again, the kids were asleep already. My girlfriend calmed them down. We were going to bed. My phone went off. She was trying to call. This was like around 9:40, like around this, about 9:49, and somewhere around there. It was obviously 9 o'clock. I called her, so this was like 40 minutes later. She tried to call. I ignored it, and then she texted me. She was down the street.
When she texted you that she was down the street, is that included in defense exhibit number 1?
Yes.
Judge, we're going to offer defense exhibit number 1, subject to objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, defense exhibit number 1 is admitted without objection.
Before we get into the rest of what happened after that, David, tell us about what the family schedule is in terms of going to bed at night.
So my girlfriend works for a bank, and she wakes up at 6 in the morning. My children's bus comes to my apartment outside at 6:15. She's already working at the time, so she starts work. She works from home. She was pregnant at the time, so she couldn't go to the office. COVID. Um, so I have to be the one to get them ready and take them to the bus. Therefore, she can't do it because she's working. So I have to wake up at 6, get them ready, have them at the bus by 6:15. So probably before 6, I have to get up and get them ready. So from there, I take him to the bus, and I was planning on taking him to school after that.
So 2 of the kids would get on the bus,
Mhm.
and because Yanni is not normally with you, you were just going to drive him to school.
Yes.
What time did you go to work?
It was Monday, so I have to be there at 8 o'clock.
That's where.
North Star Dodge on San Pedro.
What were you doing there?
I was a sales manager, salesman.
And is this the schedule every day?
Yes, pretty much, because she works all the time. So,
Oh, at least every weekday.
oh yes, every weekday, every 6 a.m.
And so in order to get up at that hour, what time is normal for the kids all to be asleep?
I put my kids to sleep 8:30.
Uh, So when she says she's on the way, what do you decide to do?
I immediate panic because they were asleep already, and the way our last conversation had ended, I did not want to disturb them and disturb my girlfriend. Again, like I said, she was overdue for the baby, and I just got up, didn't even put shoes or socks on, just my sandals, and went out to prevent her from coming up.
Had she been to your apartment before?
Yes, multiple times. She picked them up, dropped them off, and when I wasn't available, my girlfriend would be home, and she would talk to her, greet her, and drop them off, pick them up from there. Sorry, pick them up and drop them off to her.
And so she'd been up to the 3rd floor where your apartment is.
Yes, she's seen inside.
So was that the issue this night, that you didn't want her coming up to the apartment, or
Yes.
was it because of the hour?
It was because of the hour, and also he was already having a mood, my son, and I had just calmed him down, put him to bed with my girlfriend, so I didn't want to wake him or wake her and the other children.
Tell us what you mean by you said he was having a mood.
He started a mood, as in he was wondering when he was gonna go home, that he missed his mom, and I didn't want to make him feel like worse or anything, so I assured him he would be going home today. Let me reach out to her if I can drop him off, and it's a few hours earlier, so I didn't mind.
Um, So you decide to go outside because you don't want her coming to the door, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And so where do you go to wait for her?
I didn't want to go. I didn't want her to go all the way to the top and have a chance to come in, so I went to the stairway downstairs and the walkway.
You heard the testimony of the witnesses yesterday, the day before, correct?
Yes.
And there was a suggestion that somehow you seemed irritated or agitated. Describe that. Were you?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't upset at all. I mean, he was safe with me. I could have took him to school. It was no issue. I just was upset her tone that it made me to make that decision he would stay. But like I said, I had no issue. I was more scared for her to start something and lead upstairs and, my children wake up and my girlfriend, I was more worried about that. But no anger, no problems.
When you said start something, what were you afraid that she might actually do?
She would attempt to go to get him and, my girlfriend, I mean, I'd never seen her in a situation, but I mean, she's pregnant, she probably wants to be safe and protect our children. So I did not want anything to happen between them or the children see anything.
David, the jury has learned, and we all have learned at this point that you own a gun, correct?
Yes.
That you keep in your room.
Well, locked away sometimes, yes, in my room.
And that you left to go downstairs with the gun in your possession.
Yes.
Tell the jury why you would do that.
So my apartment is a luxury apartment. So I pay $2,500 a month there. And a few months back, me and my girlfriend were coming home late around 11, and someone attempted to get into the gate and was upset that I didn't put the code in fast enough. So when we both went in, he almost hit me. So he got out and followed me around the apartment with my girlfriend, and his car was driving around and pulled a gun out on us.
Inside your gated apartment.
Yes, right in front of where we parked, in front of my apartment steps.
So did you carry the gun in the parking lot that night?
No,
Or you do that every time you go out?
I actually didn't have it on me that night. I never really ever had the gun until I got scared that night.
What I'm asking is, let's say you're going out to throw out the trash or do something in the parking lot.
Oh yes, ever since that night, I had it in my holster in my pocket all the time.
Had you seen that person before or since then?
No, I didn't see the car, but I just wanted to be cautious and aware that, if that happened at that time, it could happen at any moment.
So describe the next thing that happens. You're standing at the bottom of the stairwell. What is the next thing you see?
I saw, I've seen her vehicle. I was waiting for it to park because she always comes and picks them up, and I didn't see a car or anything. So I saw a suspicious two-door truck come flying in around the corner, and it parked on the side of the building. And then I saw her come from around the corner.
Okay. So you agree with the testimony that the truck was kind of out of eye view from where you were at?
Yes, I couldn't see it after they hit the corner.
And when she comes walking around, describe her demeanor. How was she acting?
She was walking fast. I guess because she might have saw me, and she was ready to, I guess, tell me something. Ready to I don't know. I just her the way she walked up to me. I just had a feeling she was upset.
And so what is the first thing that she does?
She got in front of me and tried to go up the stairs, and I told her no. I got in her way, and I told her no. She shoved through, so therefore I stopped her from going up.
Now, how did you physically stop her from going upstairs?
I grabbed her arm.
Now, you saw the pictures that were previously admitted into evidence
Yes,
of her?
yes, I saw.
Did you see one in particular that had a bruise on the inside of her upper arm?
Yes, that's where I was holding on to her from going up.
When you grabbed her, did that stop her?
No, she continued to go up, and then she started to assault me.
How far did she get up the stairs?
Just like not even the first like step where the rail's at, like just barely right there.
And so when you say she started to assault you, what action did she do?
She was hitting me with her hands. She was hitting me with her it was her left arm, so she was hitting me with her right.
And how did you get her to stop, or
I pulled her and when I pulled her from the steps, she tripped and fell into like a bush right there by the entrance.
And then what did you do?
I figured I didn't know who she was with. I mean, she said nobody was home, so I could have thought it was her brother maybe. Uh, I didn't know who it was, but I figured hopefully it was her brother, um, to take her home. So I went to the truck to try to get them to take her.
You know her brother?
Yes, I used to live with them. I know her siblings.
So as you made your way around the corner to look for that truck, what did she do?
She started grabbing me. She was hitting me in the back of the head, the side, slapping me around, punching, anything she could do. And she was telling me that she wanted her son to give her son to her. And I said, no, you need to leave. And she was holding on to me and dragging on to me for a good while.
Well, she was proceeding to the same place you were.
Yes, she was trailing behind me, trying to stop me.
Okay. Tell the jury what you did once you got to that orange truck.
When I made it, I knocked on I hit the window because when I went to the front of the window, he was not looking up at me, the passenger, and she was coming behind me, and I was banging on the window, and then he looked up, opened the door, and told me that he was not the boyfriend. He was, which the boyfriend had stepped out, and I had went around the corner to the boyfriend.
So, so those palm prints that are on the window, that's you banging on it with your fist, basically.
Yes, my hand.
Okay. Um, were you screaming at him?
No, I told him to get her out of here. I said, sorry, my words. I said, can you get this bitch out of here? She's hitting me, and he just opened the door and said that that was the boyfriend.
So you didn't know either one of these people.
No, never seen him in my life. Never heard the name. Never, don't know any of them.
Did you have any reason to be upset that she was with another guy?
Oh no, no. The girlfriend I'm with is not my first that I have moved on from after. I have this is my third. I've been in a relationship before I have another child with another woman. This is my third relationship that I'm in right now.
So there was no relationship between you guys since a long time before that.
No, we've been separated for a long time.
As you walk around the front of the truck to go to the passenger side to talk to that person, what is she doing?
She's still grabbing me, trying to pull me back, yelling at me, cussing, give me my fucking son, give me my fucking son. Uh, mind your business. You don't need to talk to him, and give me my son. And I just continue to ignore her.
Do you have an opinion about whether or not she'd been drinking based on what you saw and her behavior?
Uh, yes, just the way she was cussing and reacting and yelling. She was making everything out of throwing everything out that the way I reacted, it didn't need to be that way. It didn't need to like be that escalated the way she was acting. So I figured she was drinking.
So you get to the other side. Does the passenger get out of the truck?
Yes, he gets out.
And what happens at that point?
He apologized, said his truck had broke down, that he was sorry, it's his fault. I had told him it's okay. I said, just get this bitch out of here. She's hitting me. You need to get her out of here. I don't care. Just take her. And he stayed quiet, trying to figure out what to do. And he just said he was sorry. And I told him that it's no issue just to get her out of here.
So David, tell me where you're standing when you're talking to.
The front bumper and headlight, he was by the passenger door.
Pretty close to it.
Yes.
Was the gun in your hand at that point?
No, it was in my pocket.
Had Danessa seen the gun up until that point?
No, it was in my pocket the whole time.
Okay. And so you tell him to please take her away. And what happens next?
He hesitated, and by the time he was gonna say something, like the way he looked like he was gonna take her, but by the time he reacted, I got a pain in the back of the head where I was hit.
And what do you think you were hit with?
To this day, I don't know. It hurt pretty bad. Could be your phone. There's a pile of rocks by the bed of rocks in our apartments that was right there. Could have been a rock she grabbed.
Now, you heard the officer's testimony that he couldn't see any injuries to the back of your head.
Honestly, we saw the footage and I was handcuffed, so he couldn't even, he let me point it out. And he, again, the video was quick. The flashlight even didn't show anything either.
Do you think that if you look at the pictures closer, that there's swelling and or redness in at least one of those pictures?
Yes, you could see a little red.
How many times would you say that she hit you?
The first time she hit me, up until when we were scuffling, she hit me probably like a few more times, maybe like 2 more times, because it was a pretty good hit that made me feel dizzy.
But at any point, did Christian try to grab her or get her away from
No,
you?
no, he when I got hit the first time, I I threw back, like I threw back because she was right here on my shoulder, and when she hit me, I just pushed her. She tripped on the curb and fell down, and when she fell down, I turned and he had hit me on the side of the head.
Okay. So if I remember right, one of the witnesses testified about her head going back
Yes,
when she's behind you.
yes,
You agree with that?
yes. That's from where I pushed her off me.
Did you have the gun in your hand at that time?
No, it was in my pocket.
Um, do you know whether or not she hit her head when she fell?
No, she just fell on, like, it was quick. She tripped on the curb. When I turned, he hit me on the side of the head, and before I know it, we're all in a grappling scuffle. He was throwing punches. I swung like one time. I was more grappling him into the truck.
Well, let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
Is it possible she hit her head when she fell in the bushes earlier?
Possibly. I mean, she fell in a big bush and fell back over, so possibly.
So after she falls, Christian comes after you.
Yes.
For those people that are not familiar with the term, what do you mean when you say grapple?
Uh, so I have been doing jujitsu for a long time. It's a defense grappling. So I was holding him in his arms and trying to get him away from me, like as in like push him away, trying to get him off me because he was punching me. So I was trying to prevent him from hitting me more.
You've seen the photographs of your pictures. Is it your belief that on the front of your face, you can see swelling from where you were punched?
Yes.
Did you say anything to him like, why are you hitting me? Or anything like that?
No, I just told him to back up and I was yelling to get this bitch off me, get her off me.
So you're trying to grab him and restrain him. What does Vanessa do after she gets up?
She continued to grab my shirt, shoulders, put her weight on my back.
And so how many times would you say that Christian punched you?
It was a good few times. I mean, it got to the point where he was throwing punches that it was so dark in that thing. He might have hit her a few times.
And how long does this go on for?
It was like a few seconds.
And where's the driver of the truck at all this?
He had stepped out when I went around the corner. He was standing there being visual.
Okay. At any time, did he get involved?
Yes, once she threw her weight on me, he came around the corner, was grabbing my shoulder and arm, trying to pull me back, to where I lost my balance from both of them. Her weight, him pulling me, to where Christian was able to get a better advantage on top of me.
Okay. And so at this point, what do you decide to do?
I pulled my gun out, and when I moved it, uh, she hit me again back of the head, and I was getting pulled, so it just like happened so fast from where I was hitting, like I was just getting blurry to where I just remember the gun had popped off.
When you took it out of your pocket, did you point it in any particular direction?
I was on like one knee on the floor and I had this hand, so it just was out real quick and popped off. I had no space to aim it anywhere.
Now, the jury has seen the video of your conversation with the officer, correct?
Mhm.
And you heard it as well?
Yes, sir.
And he asked you about whether or not the gun had been discharged.
Yes.
What did you tell him?
That I don't remember when it did, like I don't remember, like it happened so fast, like I remember pulling it, but I don't remember like how like it happened so quick. I don't remember when it popped off. Like I don't remember the aim or where it was.
Were you hesitant to tell him that the gun had discharged?
Well, he was asking me questions like, did I point it? Did I just, it was like, I don't know, like what to say. Like it wasn't intentional. Like it was, I wasn't trying to harm anybody. It was just me panicking to get him off me.
So do you think you could have explained yourself better, or were you just nervous at the time?
Well, if you look in the video, I told him I had went down. I had showed him I was handcuffed and I had went down like that and I pulled it out. But you know, like I said, I was handcuffed, so I couldn't give him a better visual of how it went down.
Um, So after the gun goes off, what happens?
Um, Christian ran off. Um, his friend Charles went around the truck, kind of like crouched down. I had got up, and when I had got up, because I was on like one knee, like kind of like leaning forward. When I had got up to a straight position, Danessa had was grabbing onto my shirt and trying to pull me down, and was holding me, and she was hitting me again, and I just swung my hand back with the gun, and I did struck her, but I don't know if it was the gun or my hand. Like,
Okay. So even after she heard the first gunshot, she's still coming after you.
she stayed there. She was the only one that stayed, didn't run off.
Now, you told the officer that she tore your shirt. Was it your belief that she had torn your shirt?
It felt like she tore it. He asked me a question. I looked back. I didn't mean like a tear. I meant like it was stretch my collar where she was pulling. But I mean, there could be a possible tear.
So it felt like it got stretched from being pulled.
Yes, because it was, uh, tight on my neck.
Okay. After you swung at her another time to get her off your back, did you actually, you felt like you hit her?
Yes, I felt because she had let go and fell back.
Okay. And then what did you do?
I turned around and as I was walking, she said she was gonna call her brother.
She didn't say she was gonna call the police.
Nope. So she was calling her brother.
And in fact, did her brother get there?
Yes, he showed up with, and there was multiple men there,
How many?
probably like 6 at my doorway.
Did you know any of these guys?
There was a few. There was one guy I recognized. He was calling me, excuse my words, a pussy, and that he was gonna get me and come back to my apartment.
Did they get there before the police did?
Yeah, they were outside. I saw through the window a truck pull up, and there was men outside.
So at this point, you'd gone back to your apartment.
Oh yes, after she fell off of me and I walked off, so she was gonna call her brother. I had went up the stairs, and therefore my girlfriend had woken up from the gunshot, and I was about to call 911. I left my phone upstairs. Like I said, when she said she was downstairs, I ran downstairs fast, forgot my phone. Didn't have socks or shoes on, just in my chanclas. Um, so therefore, I was not able to call the police. But by the time I went upstairs, I heard a patrol car, a sheriff, come around. Saw lights. Actually, the ambulance showed up first. An ambulance showed up first before the police. I guess now that we know the 911 call Christian, it was Christian that they had sent an ambulance for.
So how does it, the video starts with you sitting in the police car. How did you get into the police car?
Honestly, like the police took forever to come by. They also took forever. They were attending to them first. Uh, my girlfriend went down there because they had called her down there, the police. They had let her know the situation. They had let her know that I will be taken into custody. I'll be going to jail. for me just to sit tight. So therefore, I had changed clothes and went downstairs.
All right, everyone, we're going to take a brief recess. So we will be back at 3:50. Is that enough time for everyone? All right, remember my previous instructions. All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors.
I'm not lying, man.
I didn't think it was
The
pork
only
chop.
thing that makes you cry.
His name was pork chop.
Excuse me, Joshua Erdman, please.
Are they inside most of the time?
And if none of that works, then choose one.
No,
of
no,
two.
no problem. All right, I'm hoping he knows. He may be in the whatever room they are in to decompress.
Oh, I don't.
And envelopes within envelopes. That's awesome.
It was,
Oh, have you done it?
Okay, so he's not answering. Maybe he's on the
Oh, yeah,
device.
wait till you open those.
Yes.
Get big hair coming. It's like all of the
So if
stuff
you'll
we do.
just call him and let him know. All right.
Let's, why don't we do this?
I just want to put one thing in here. You take the rest back.
Okay.
I think our badges work for that room, but if not, then Christina or any of the others check it in. And in fact, you probably want to.
What is it? Is it a goal?
Yeah, it's a, no, it's
Springfield.
Springfield Armory, subcompact. Or at least something similar.
Oh, just let us know and we'll work around the schedule.
We're gonna definitely have.
Go up there and get it.
Okay, we'll work around the schedule. All right, thank you. Thank you. Yes. All right.
It's been 100.
Oh, that case, yes. Deputy Laura, Adam, do you need to speak to your guy in the back? All right, so if you can send him back,
You.
Oh.
and then if you can line the jurors up.
Actually, this is.
Part of it is.
I printed. Yeah, let me grab my bags.
What's going to trial next week is my notes, so that's good. And then effective order of investigation.
Pretty much a shit. Yeah. So I went and just, I unplugged it.
Well, even after a little while, we're like, it's still going.
That's not even all of it.
Okay.
Diana, since I'm reading your real time, you'll put in there, just break, and I'll see it, and I'll be able to respond. All right, everyone, we're gonna start up. And
Stop me.
all right, thank you.
Hey, Ray, why are you printing out that huge thing during your own? What's up with that, huh?
Okay.
What the hell is happening?
You know what? Yes, let me, you know what I will tell you? My mom always says that we're our own worst critics. And everything that you put in, I've been able to read it.
We're like, what is happening?
So I'm hitting cancel as fast as I can.
And I will tell you, as quickly as you're typing it in, I can see when you stop to think about it, what you're doing, it's really difficult because everybody's speaking at a different speed and a different tone. Some people are whispering. And then when people are talking fast and you tell them to slow down, sorry, and then so I understand. But you know what the good thing is? When people don't consider you, you know why they don't? Because you're doing such a great job. It's just like you just disappear. Yes, it is. You're not the wallflower at the party.
I am the wall.
No.
At the party, Judge.
Oh, no, I remember you. You're not the wallflower. You're just doing great work. You know, I never know how many cases we've done until I have to review the judgments and sign them. No, that's going to be on a different day.
What about to your Monday?
and the deputies, if we stay late, because he's a inmate, then they have to drive him over. All right, are you parties ready? Yes, we're ready.
All right, for the jury.
All right, everyone, please be seated. And defense, it's still a witness.
David, I want to pick up where you say you take the gun out of your pocket, right? When you take it out of your pocket, how are you positioned amongst everybody there?
Crouched, like my knee wasn't to the floor, but I was at an angle to like crouched in.
So how did you get in that position?
Whenever she put her weight on me, jumped, put her weight on me, and from the friend Charles grabbing me, I lost my balance.
Okay. And so can you remember specifically the moment you decided to go into your pocket and pull it out?
I just was scared, panicked. I just didn't know what was gonna happen because I was already dizzy, out of breath from scuffling with Christian. That it just overwhelmed me to where I just pulled it out and I just fired it.
Now, did you have it in your mind what you were gonna do with it once it was out of your pocket?
No, I just wanted to scare them off so I can go up away, get away from there.
So at the time, looking back on it, can you sense exactly when you hit the trigger hard enough to make it discharge?
It wasn't even like a like aggressive pull. It was like weight on me, and like I said, she was pulling my shoulder. It was more of like a light tap to where it popped off. And when it happened, I was in shock when they ran. Like I just like, man, what did I do? Like it was an accident. Like it wasn't intentional.
Okay, so in what direction do you think that the gun was pointing at the time?
Honestly, from where I was at and how Christian was hovering, I want to say it was like out, like it was up, like towards like the area of the field, because he was real close to me and I had a gap. Like it was just like probably to the could have been the air, could have been to the field. I wasn't pointing enough to where it hit a car or the concrete or anything.
So if a witness says it was at his direction, because you were lower to the ground, I mean, that could be true.
Yes.
Okay. And if he says it was really close to him, you agree with that as well?
Yes.
But you never made a conscious decision to shoot him specifically.
No, he like I said, it could have been prevented. The fight between me and him, like I said, it was. I understand he was defending her because I pushed her, but I was not looking to harm him. He apologized as soon as he got out the truck, and I mean, I was upset from her, but it wasn't like I was upset at him. It was just like, can you get her out of there? You know, because he's the man, like that's his girlfriend, you know. So it wasn't like I wanted to hurt him. I didn't know the guy.
So you didn't make any conscious decision at any point to point it at anybody in particular?
No, it's just like he was in front of me, so when I pulled it out, I mean, you saw the body cam, like I said, I told him to back up, like it was in, but it wasn't like like I said, she pulled me and it was like hesitant, like honestly, I pulled it out because I wanted to scare them, but I mean, firing the pistol was like not intentional, like I didn't want to shoot anybody.
So when Christian testified that he just saw your arm being pulled back and then he sees the flash, it's kind of the way you see it as well.
Yeah, it was just quick.
Now, do you think the only way you could have stopped that situation or put a halt to it was for them to see the gun and maybe back away from you.
Yes, I mean, I'm sure if I mean, we heard their testimonies. I mean, I myself, I have a gun and somebody else has a gun in front of me. I'm walking away, you know. There's no point in losing my life. This man has a gun, I have a gun. There's no point. Like, oh, I'm sorry. There's just no point to me to continue. So their testimony said I had it out, so you know, they were not scared. But I'm telling you, I didn't have it out. It was in my pocket. So my intention when I pulled it out was to scare them to get away.
And to be clear, when you say that you punched at her and maybe you hit her, what was she doing just before you did that?
When all that happened with me and Christian,
Yeah.
scuff. So like she was just on top of me, hitting me, and like I said, I was scuffling with him. It wasn't like it just happened quick. Like I can't really say like what was going on that fast, but I just remember she was on top of me, hitting me.
And do you know what part of your hand or arm hit her?
Uh, when I swung the gun,
Yes.
oh yeah, it was this hand because the gun was in this hand when I put it out. So it just, like I said, it just was like get off me because like I said, everybody ran off. He ran off except her. She was still trying to, you know, hurt me. And like I said, I just swung it back. And I don't know if it was the gun that hit her or my hand. I don't know. Like I just remember she fell off to where I could get out.
Were you intentionally trying to hit her with the gun?
No, I was just trying to get her off me, like, you know, trying to back her off of me.
Now, you, I started to ask you earlier that you're in the police car when the video starts, but we don't see how exactly you got there. Can you
Yes.
just tell us how you got into the police car?
When I went upstairs, like I said, the ambulance showed up before the police. I waited upstairs. I figured the police were coming because if I saw the ambulance, someone had called, and like I said, the police showed up finally after. Um, one of them came upstairs to knock, and my girlfriend answered. He said that I was going to be going to jail.
Object to hearsay at this point, Your Honor.
Sustained.
So a police officer came up to talk to you, correct? Before we see the video.
Yes, it wasn't the detective; it was a sheriff.
Okay. So a uniformed officer.
Yes, sir.
Um, and so my next question is, why were you changing your clothes?
Because I was told where I was going, so I, you know, it's not a great place to be. Like, you know, you're gonna be there, so I just put into something comfortable and warm to while I was there to be, you know, because I didn't have sock shoes. It was just chanclas, so I wanted to be in a more comfortable wear to be inside.
So in the video, you give the officer a complete explanation of the series of events, kind of like you've done this evening, or
Yes,
this afternoon.
yes, sir.
But you knew before you even started that conversation, you were going to the jail.
Yes, I was told by the sheriff that to wait upstairs, to be away from the firearm, that they would come up and get me.
And when they came up and got you, did they put you in cuffs right away?
Yes, I was greeted by 3 officers, and I was handcuffed from my ankles to my arms.
And then escorted down the stairs in cuffs.
Yes,
So it didn't really even matter what you told the investigator, you're going to the jail regardless.
yes, that's what I was told.
But you cooperated anyway.
Of course,
And initially, when he asked you about searching the home, you had a little bit of a hesitation about that. Tell us about that.
I just wasn't aware. Like, I mean, he didn't ask for the firearm. I mean, he just said that he was gonna go. He was gonna get warrant if he could just have the firearm. That he was gonna go and search. I didn't mind getting the firearm, but I just didn't want to. You know, I didn't know what to say or do. I've never been in the position.
But after you thought about it, you ultimately decided, I'll take you up there and give you whatever you want.
Yeah, once I started to realize what he was saying, it just was like, oh yeah, you know what? It just makes sense to just take you up there and give it to you because, I mean, I probably would have had to wait there. He did tell me I was gonna wait there until they got a warrant, so I just thought it'd make it easier.
Now, in the break, did you have a chance to refresh your memory about the protective order that the state asked you about or asked somebody about?
Yes.
Do you remember going to court on that?
No.
Okay. Do you remember talking to somebody about that?
Yes, a lady had zoomed me on my phone, but it wasn't like a court or anything. It was just a lady on a computer talking.
And so did you in fact agree to the protective order with
Um,
Vanessa?
it wasn't like a question like do I agree? It was just like you have a protective order. You need to cooperate with it. That's what I was told, and to stay away from her, and I had to sign a paper that I was gonna do it, or else um, if I ever went near her or anything, there would be fines. Yeah.
So you knew that there was a protective order involving Vanessa, correct?
She told me it was with her. Yes.
During the course of that meeting or whatever it was that got that order produced, was there discussions about you're still having the ability to have contact with your son?
Yes, she said since I had custody that I would be able to see him.
So when was the first time you realized that the protective order prevents you from doing that?
Oh, just today in court when I was told the protective order, they said that it was from her and him.
So you had a chance to, do you have a copy of that order in your phone?
Yes, they emailed me it.
So you read the order today and realized
That
now
it-
that it's come out.
Yeah, it says applicants, her and him.
You didn't have a lawyer when you were participating in that process?
No, the officer showed up to my house to serve me the papers and said I had a Zoom meeting the following days, and I didn't know what to do from that point.
I'll pass it, Mr. Judge.
State.
Thank you, Judge. So, Mr. Duenas, we've only seen each other in court, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we don't know each other, but you've heard I can talk a little fast. I know you can talk fast. Let's try to keep it at a slow and steady pace
Sure.
for Diana, okay? And make sure I finish talking before you answer a question, okay? So we've heard talk, it's kind of been mentioned to the jury that there's like a rule that's been invoked so the witnesses can't sit in this room. Is that correct? While other testimony is going on?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
So you are the only witness who gets to sit here and listen to everything that all the witnesses say. Is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, let's go back to the weekend before everything went down.
Yes, ma'am.
So according to your testimony, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but according to your testimony, you and Danessa were getting along fine up until the weekend before when you had the little spat, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And before then, she and your pregnant girlfriend at the time had got along fine and they were able to exchange custody, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So the weekend prior to this, you were late with Gianni past 9:30, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you feel okay? Like, I know you said you apologized, but you felt it was okay for you to be late, even though she was upset.
No, I had communicated with her that it was gonna be 9. I was nowhere near. It was my baby shower. She understood. As long as she understood, I was, there was no issues, which she said, okay, she understands to bring him home as soon as possible.
But the next weekend, it wasn't okay for her to pick up Gianni late?
Oh, no, I mean, like I said, it was either dropped him off with her. She did not want to do that. And I didn't want to do that because of the location she was at. But I mean, I offered to drop her off at her brother's house where she lives. I offered her to come pick him up. She said, I mean, she gave me her word an hour. That's the only reason. But I mean, even at the time I called her at 9 o'clock, she still didn't show up at 9 o'clock. She still showed up almost an hour later.
Same way you showed up the previous weekend, 30 minutes
But I
later,
had
correct?
communicated and told her.
I know, that's not my question though. So, and you were saying that part of the reason you were upset about this because the other kids go to bed at around 8:30, correct?
Mhm.
Was that the same for the weekend before when you brought Gianni home at 9:30?
Well, it was a event we're celebrating for their baby sister that was soon to be, so it was an exception.
So exceptions can be made for you, but not for Danessa.
Well, if she would have told me what was going on, car troubles, I would have understood, but she never once communicated.
So, the night that everything goes down, everything was fine according to you until she got a little aggressive and annoyed with you on the phone, correct?
Mhm.
And according to you, she was just kind of annoyed, said, I'm gonna get him, you can't stop me.
She just said that she was on her way and she was coming to get him, and I said no.
And in your words, this panicked you to the point where you leapt out of bed, threw on some clothes, thought enough to grab your gun, and went downstairs to wait for her, correct?
Well, I already had clothes on. I just put my chanclas on.
Okay, so you put your chanclas on, you grabbed your gun in a panic, your own words, and went downstairs, correct? To wait for her.
Yes, ma'am.
How long did you wait for her downstairs?
She texted me at 9:44, probably like a couple minutes after she was ready outside.
So you're in a panic by your own words, but when you get downstairs, you're not agitated. So them seeing you agitated is not real. Your panic is gone at that point.
No, mentally I panicked like, oh, she's coming, but it wasn't like for me to be walking, running and showing any signs of physical panic. I mean, it was more of panic for my family that was inside. It wasn't like, wasn't like me getting physically irritated.
You also said panic and concern over your fiance and what might happen between her and Danessa, correct?
Yes, because she was pregnant.
Even though, and up until that date, there had never been any sort of issue between them.
No issues.
So when she showed up, and things escalated, you admit, may I approach your honor?
Yes.
So we're showing you what's been marked and admitted as state exhibit number 5. This is what you were talking about where you were saying that you grabbed her here on her arm, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And marked and admitted as state exhibit number 8. So you grabbed her on her arm, hard enough to leave a bruise.
I mean, there was a bruise on it, so
Okay, but that's not assault. Leaving a bruise on a woman as you grab her and pull her back or down the stairs, that's not assault.
it's protection because she tried to make her way into my apartment where my 9-month pregnant girlfriend was and my other children sleeping.
Even though that you had already testified they had no prior beef and she was just there to pick up her son.
We had no prior beef till that night. I mean, anything could happen.
Okay, so you grabbed her hard enough to leave a bruise on her arm. You yanked her backwards down the stairs, but that's not assault and she wasn't justified in smacking you back.
She can do she can assault me. I mean, that's her reaction. Then I mean, every human being can make their own decision. So
But you didn't assault her. That's not assault.
I mean, I don't think so.
Okay.
I didn't close my fist.
Oh, so it's only if you close your fist?
I think assault's closing the fist. I mean, that's the form of assault.
So also that night, you said that Diani had missed his mom and he had been fussing for her. And I know he had been upset, but you calmed him down. But yet when his mom shows up slightly later than when he dropped him off the weekend before, that was going to be too much for him to go and be picked up and be reunited with his mom, who he'd been asking for all day.
The opportunity was offered to be reunited. She did not want to continue with the opportunity.
Okay. So you had spoken to Danessa enough to know that she was at Little Woodrow's that night, correct?
Mhm.
Did she tell you that she was with her boyfriend?
She didn't tell me who she was with. She just said she was there.
Okay.
But I assumed it was somebody, brother, because like I said I would take him home to your brother. She said nobody was home.
Okay. How long had you known her brother? Because I know you guys were high school sweethearts.
Since 16. I mean, I met him. I used to live with him, so for years.
Okay. So you know what kind of car he drives?
When I would go pick him up, I mean, they have multiple vehicles. I don't know exactly what he drives, but I mean, it didn't, I couldn't say which brother too. She has a lot of brothers, but I
But
don't,
there's one particular brother she lived with at the time.
well, yeah. I mean, all her brothers stay sometimes together, but I don't know who it was she was with.
And so these people who you've known for over 10 years, you don't know any of their cars?
Why I myself change cars all the time, so I wouldn't know what they were driving it.
So after, according to you, you grab her and bruise her, but it's not an assault. And she hits you back and assaults you.
That's assault.
You head over to the car where you think her brother is. Why didn't you just go upstairs and call the police?
She went past me. She was on the stairwell when I was dragging her. She was behind me, so I was not able to go back up.
You already said, though, under testimony on direct, that you dragged her back and she fell into the bushes.
Oh.
Was that not an opportunity for you to go upstairs and get away from the situation?
Yeah, I guess I don't see why not. Yeah, could have been a decision too,
Why didn't you just walk away?
because then she still would have went upstairs, called her brother, called whoever to come. I mean, it still would have escalated to that.
So you go over to this car and you see two people you don't recognize. Why do you still proceed to that car instead of just turning around?
Because they were with her. They were with her all that night, so I assumed, they could be the ones to take her home. They brought her, so why wouldn't they be able to take her?
And you said, were you knocking on their window or were you banging on the
I
window?
was not banging on my palm.
Okay, so you're banging with your palm?
Yes, like this.
So you were banging hard enough and to leave marks on that truck, correct?
My hands are very oily. There were smudge marks from my oil, so yeah.
But you're telling them, hey, get this bitch out of here, correct?
Yes, they were not looking at me when I went to the window, and until I hit the window, they looked at me.
And so were you just calmly saying, get this bitch out of here, or were you
No,
yelling?
I said it with a because, like I said, she assaulted me. I just wanted her out of there. I had a tone as in get this bitch out of here.
So you're still trying to stay calm through all of this, even though by your own words, you've been assaulted, she won't leave,
Well,
but you're not losing your temper at all at this point.
with them, I don't have to lose my temper because I did not know them. I was just trying to get her out of there.
Now, you mentioned at this point, Christian gets out and you think that you get hit in the back of the head by a rock. Have you ever mentioned this to any of the officers?
I told the officer that she was hitting me with something. I don't know what it was. Could be her phone. Could have been a rock. Could have been something. I don't know. My back was turned, so
When you were listening to yourself again, did you notice the part where you said that you were on your knee, you pulled the gun and you pointed it at Christian's chest?
well, I pulled it out and said, "Get back up."
The words you use are I pointed it at his chest. Would that be wrong?
Well,
Or has your story changed
I
now?
mean, I told him I didn't remember how it all happened. I mean, I got hit in the back of the head, so what I said, it's similar. I mean,
Let's-
why wouldn't it be the same?
Let's talk about that. Did you go to the hospital?
No, they told me I was going to jail.
I know, but once you got out, did you go to the hospital or the doctor to see if you had any
No,
concussion?
a nurse. Actually, I was not checked till 3 days in jail.
All right, so just a moment, everyone. Ask a question, then answer. Don't talk over each other because it makes it difficult for the court reporter to get everything.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, continue.
Thank you, Judge. You never got checked out for a concussion or anything like that? So you also just testified that, a bunch of her brothers roll up, they're yelling at you, they're threatening you, they're confronting you on your doorstep. When did you tell the police that?
The police were standing right there as I was handcuffed. They said, "Don't acknowledge them." They were exchanging words, like calling me names in front of my pregnant girlfriend. They were gonna come back, making threats. I said, Geo, because I was one of the guys that were there, and he got upset. And the officer said, "Don't engage, don't acknowledge him, because I could use that against you." So I be quiet after that.
You have 5 siblings, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Including at least one sister.
Yes, ma'am.
How would you feel if someone had hit your sister in the head with a gun and then fired a shot at her boyfriend or her husband? Because I know your oldest sister's married.
Being police were called. I mean, that would have to be handled by police. I mean, I can't do nothing. I'm not a police officer. I would support her and make sure that she is taken care of and she's okay. But like I said, the men showing up, what was going to happen? The police were there. There's no need just to scare my pregnant girlfriend, I guess.
So it wouldn't upset you or make you angry and want to confront someone if they had done that to your sister?
I'd be upset and want to make sure she's safe. But again, I wouldn't be upset enough I can't do nothing. It's out of my hands. It's police matter.
So you also testified that you didn't have time to kind of call police or anything, but you had time to change your clothes, which weren't ripped. You had time to unload your gun, store it in its container, and put it in a closed drawer, correct?
Well, the incident when it happened, I didn't have my phone. It was upstairs. But by the time I changed and put the gun away, it was like hours after that. The police told me to stay upstairs.
So according to you, this is an accidental shooting because you were jumped and beaten repeatedly in the head by 3 people, correct?
I'm not aware where they hit. It happened fast, but I recall someone hit me in the back
Okay,
of the
Your
head.
Honor.
Yes.
That you've said on the record repeatedly that Vanessa hit you repeatedly over and over and over and over and over again in your head, correct?
I said 3 times I felt a hard hit, but I was saying she was grabbing me and hitting my back and shirt.
Does Vanessa have Danessa have long nails?
No,
No? Showing you it's been marked and admitted as state's exhibit number 32. Would you agree that these are kind of decently fingernails?
can't really
I
visually.
would say, yeah, they're not the most focused. We'll go ahead and walk it up here. So they're longer than the ends of her fingers. They're long enough to be nails and not short little stubs, correct?
visually see that good.
Okay.
The
Well,
color. and
Some people
everything.
might disagree with that. But let's say for the sake of argument, that she had on medium length acrylic nails. And she's hitting you repeatedly in the head. She's scrambling, she's pulling. You don't have any scratches on you. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Okay, so you didn't get scratched in this mad scuffle over a gun with her boyfriend also hitting at you, with Charles allegedly hitting you. 3 people are hitting you. You don't have any scratches, correct? At most, you say that you see some redness on the back of your head and that you feel you see in the photo where you have a mark on your face. Is that correct?
Well, fortunately, yesterday we realized that when
That's not what I'm
I
asking,
was
sir.
handcuffed, I couldn't tell them.
All right, so everybody one at a time.
I wasn't able to point out where I was hurting. I was handcuffed.
So when the gun went off, you told the detective or investigator Lopez that night, you don't recall firing a gun. You remember pointing it at Christian's chest, but you don't remember. But now today you're saying, oh no, I remember the gun going off. Is that correct?
It happened so fast. I said I don't remember when how it fired. Like I don't remember as in like me. It just happened quick. My head was hurting, so it wasn't like I could really say that I popped it off to hurt anyone.
Yeah, but you didn't, and that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking the night that detective or investigator interviewed you, you said, I don't know if the gun went off. You didn't deny it, you didn't admit it, but you could not say if the gun went off. That's what you said that night, correct?
If I remember, I said I don't remember.
Okay. But now you're testifying that you remember that it went off because it startled you and you thought, oh man, that was really, oops, sorry. Oh man, that was really light, like a light pool. Now you remember it.
I mean, that night it was a shock, but after a few times of thinking, I mean, you can think and remember slowly.
So you told the investigator that you pointed the gun at Christian's chest. At some point in the madness, the gun goes off. Are you saying it's just kind of divine intervention that it didn't strike Christian that night?
If from what they're saying and what I said, I mean, if it was that close, then I'm sure it would could have struck him if I intentionally, but I wasn't trying to hurt him.
Well, it is divine intervention. Wouldn't we be here on murder? You had struck Christian from that close.
Well, if if he was hit, and I'm not too sure how that works. I'm not, wouldn't know what to say to that.
The officers also asked you that night why you had a gun on you. At any point, did you mention, oh, well, there was this mysterious driver that was following me and that's why I started carrying a gun, or is this the first time we're hearing about it?
Yes, ma'am. I told them, because I even made a report when that incident happened.
And then you also talked about jujitsu. Or what belt are you?
Just stripes right now. It takes years to get a blue belt, 2 years.
Wouldn't it be fair to say that jujitsu, in addition to, yes, grappling, part of the art of it is de-escalation?
Uh, it's just defense. I mean, on the floor, really. I wasn't on my back to the floor. I mean, it's jujitsu, it's grappling, but we didn't get to the floor, to use really what jujitsu is, armbar. It's
Okay, so
it's
jujitsu, you're saying to use just on the floor.
pretty much it's grappling. It's not anything like boxing or MMA, mixed martial arts, nothing like that.
Pass the witness.
So, Christian, are you confident that if someone reviews the audio version of your statement to the police, I'm sorry, David, are you confident that if we reviewed or anybody wanted to review the audio of your statement to the police, all the things you're telling us today, you told them at that time?
Yes, I would. I mean, some stuff that she asked me, I don't remember if it was the sheriff because I said it was sheriffs I talked to, the detective. I mean, I don't remember exactly like who I told what, but I remember the video so far was the detective and investigating me.
Well, and the one exception is when and how the gun went off, correct?
Yes, sir.
How long have you had to think about everything that happened that night?
Honestly, it's still a puzzle. I could tell you to this day, I'm still in shock, like how this has happened. The position I'm in, I still think about it to this day. But I think hearing the testimonies from everybody started, the stories are a little different with everybody, but it's enough for me to be like, okay, think more and more about it.
So you feel comfortable today saying that after you're on the ground and two and or three of them are around you, that at that point when you took the gun out, shortly thereafter it went off?
Oh, yes.
And you're confident in having thought about it and read the reports and listened to testimony. That's your best recollection?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have some hesitance about what you said to the officers, the officer who interviewed you? Because we now know that when you gave that interview, you already knew you were going to jail.
Yes, I was scared. I mean, I've never been in that position, so I didn't know exactly what to say or tell. Like it just was. And then I felt like he was more of a friend because he was agreeing with some of the stuff I was saying. So I just felt like, okay, do I tell him exactly? And, I don't know exactly what to tell this man.
That's all I have, Judge.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, you may step down. Defense, call your next witness.
We're gonna arrest, Judge.
State, do you close?
Yes, Judge, we rest and close.
Defense, do you close?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what is going to happen is we're going to come back on Monday at 9 a.m. And at that time, you'll have a chance to hear closing arguments from each side. Remember my instructions. 1, you're not to do any investigation into this case. Everything that you need to know about this case comes from inside the courtroom. You're not to view anything. You're not to start deliberating with yourself or think about this case in any way, shape, or form. You're only allowed to deliberate once I give you permission to deliberate, and deliberations will only take place in the jury room. Does everybody understand? All right. Monday, we can go off the record. Monday is a day where I'm telling you we'll start at 9, which we will, but we can only start when everybody is here. Parking garage is going to be full because jurors are called up for jury duty. And then everybody who works in this building parks at the parking garage. So honestly, to make sure that you have a space and you're not trying to drive around to find a decent parking space, because for some reason downtown parking has become outrageous in its price. It'd probably be best for you to make it to the parking garage like you're coming for jury duty the first day. You know, when you get that form and it says 8 a.m. and you're rushing because, oh my gosh, it's 8:15. That's what time you probably need to be at the garage. And you can bring breakfast here. You all have seen the back room, so you can bring that and have your breakfast here, all right? Any questions before I release you? All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors.